You would love for your team to take all out massive action. You would love to see your team show up more consistently. And you got to be careful because even though I'm going to give you some great tips inside of this training today, the truth is you can't motivate the unmotivated, right? You're looking for people that are motivatable, or they are motivated, or they are even like you and me, motivators. You cannot motivate the unmotivated. There's just some people that they're gonna buy into the program, they're gonna order the products, they're gonna join the team, but they're gonna do a whole lot of nothing. You can't drag anchors across the finish line. You cannot convince someone to do the work. You can encourage, you can make recommendations, you can mentor, you can inspire, you can go do some of the things that I'm gonna teach you inside of this training, but at the end of the day, there's just some people that there's nothing you can do. They're gonna be either a very inactive person, like they're not gonna plug into the calls, they're not gonna plug into the trainings, they're not gonna plug into the team chats, they're gonna buy the products, they're gonna join, but like I said, they're just not gonna take action. However, there are some people, and this is why I never give up on anybody, there are some people, they're just a slow mover, right? They're building up their confidence. They're building up their belief. How many of you kind of took some time to get started? It took you some time to build up your belief and your confidence. It took some time for you to get fully committed. Some of the top earners in network marketing started out as a slow mover. They started out as a part-time, spare time. I'm gonna give this the old college try, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try some products. I'm gonna try to talk some people. I'm gonna see if I like this venture. What's up, Kathy? Linda, how's it going? Okay, cool. Katie's watching live. I love it. Awesome. Julie's on live. What's up? I would highly recommend you share this with your teammates, by the way. This could be a way to motivate your team. This could be a way to get your team into action. But like I said, you got to be careful. You don't want to put expectations on your team either. And sometimes I'll say team because you might have a team of 3. You might have a team of 3,300. You know, if you have a really big team, you probably do have some pretty motivated people because you didn't build that team by yourself, right? How many of us just feel like you would just love to find someone like you? You would just love to find someone as motivated as you, as hungry as you. And as I say all the time, you're looking for the aces. You're looking for A players. You're looking for people with whip, work ethic, hunger, integrity. And man, if they got personal power, that can be game changing. So I think it's really important to understand too that there are things you can do to create more excitement. There are things you can do to create some momentum in your business. How many of us have noticed that maybe during sales promos or the end of the month, or maybe just certain times of year that you experience more momentum, where you experience more growth, you see more people excited, you see more people plugged in, you notice that your production is a lot higher, you're making more money, product launches definitely help. But imagine if your team was as motivated during the slower times of year. Imagine if your team was as motivated and as driven during those periods where there aren't new products and there isn't as much excitement. And you know, it's interesting too, because if you think about like, a traditional sales job, right? Like when I was a mortgage banker, it didn't matter if the rates were up or down. It didn't matter if it was, the holidays or whatever. Like it was a job. I had to show up and perform and produce 12 months out of the year. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job for very long. But you have to realize that most people are not going to be as committed as you, right? They're not going to be as gung-ho as you. So just know that to be true and be grateful. Be grateful. Don't put expectations. How many of us have kids? And when you put expectations on them, it backfires. You expect them to clean their dishes. You expect them to do their homework. You expect them to brush their teeth twice a day. Like you put expectations on them and you put pressure on them. Maybe you expect them to play well in their volleyball game, right? And they don't do well. You make them feel like a disappointment, like a failure. You can recommend, encourage, and try to motivate your kids. But if you're constantly putting that pressure on them, it creates a not so great relationship. And the truth is, It is a little different when it is your kids, right? Because it's your kids. You got to live with them. You're grooming them, right? To be adults one day, right? And some of us are trying to groom some amazing children so they're amazing adults and they can be inspiring, kind humans one day. But the truth is, when you are working with a bunch of adults, and even though you say, oh, well, they want to make a lot of money and they're hungry and they told me this and they told me that, but they're not showing up, you have to be careful because it's easy for people to say they want to make a lot of money and they want to fire their boss and they want to live the dream and they want to do all these things. They want to travel the world, but you have to pay attention to their actions. And if you're putting a lot of expectations on your team and you're making them feel bad for not doing more. And sometimes people will say, well, I just want to serve them and I want to help them. And sure, but again, if they feel like a big disappointment, that's not encouraging. That's not motivating. If you're really hard on them. Like I had an upline back in the day. He was a jerk. Honestly, he was just a jerk. He wasn't nice. And that was his style. It reminded me of my old high school baseball coaches. They weren't nice. They put a lot of expectations on you. If you had a bad game, they were on you. That wasn't motivating to me. That wasn't motivating to a lot of my teammates. It's the same thing in our business, right? So obviously, most of you are probably not yelling at your teammates. You're probably not yelling at your downline, but you want to just be very careful to know kind of where someone's at and not spend a whole lot of time, like I mentioned, dragging anchors and trying to motivate the unmotivated. You want to look for the motivatable, the motivated, and really you want to find motivators, right? Motivators like you and me. Okay, so let me get into this because I could talk all day about this stuff. And I think it's so important to have a culture of positivity and let people kind of build and grow at their own pace. I think that's really important. All right. So the first thing that I love to do, and I think this is something that all of us can get better at, and that's creating activity challenges. So like, for instance, a lot of my teammates right now are doing a 100 box challenge where they're trying to expose 100 people in the next 30 days or 60 days, to the business, to the products, to the opportunity, whatever it is. And everybody's kind of doing it their own way. You could do a reel challenge, right? So we'll see people do reel challenges. We're doing a referral post challenge. We do that every month. Like you could do an ATM challenge. You could do a group chat challenge. You could do a weekend challenge. How many of us have noticed that maybe the weekends are a little slower? Why not do a weekend challenge? And by the way, your giveaway doesn't always have to cost money. Sometimes you want to give away products. Sometimes you want to give away prizes. But sometimes it could just be that you're giving away a coaching call. Like maybe one of the top earners is going to do a coaching call with the person that ATMs the most people this weekend. Or maybe you do a raffle and anyone that gets one customer this weekend gets entered into a drawing to win some free product. The point is, start getting creative because you know that just in general, there are slower periods and busier periods. There are times of growth and momentum, and there's times of more of a maintaining or a trimming of the fat. You know what I'm saying? Like during the summertime, dead of the summer, like the middle of the summer, like mid-July, August, things are probably going to be a little slower. Around the holidays, how many of us, maybe you lost some people during the holiday. Think of some creative things you can do during those slower periods of time. Like I said, referral post challenges, reels challenges, ATM challenges, group chat challenges. Those are like activity challenges, right? Maybe do a live video challenge for 7 days. You could do this in your ATM groups also. You could do like water challenges, planking challenges. And then number 2 would be recognize what you want repeated. Write this down. This has been a huge thing over the last 5-6 years within our organization, recognizing someone for getting their first customer. You might say, well, how is that a big deal? It is a big deal. That first customer is the hardest customer to get sometimes, right? It's just building up the belief, building up the confidence. Man, if you can help someone make $50, $100, you help someone make a check with a comma, you're going to give them more belief, right? They're going to build up that belief over time, just getting those small wins. And when you recognize someone for getting their first customer, it does a bunch of things. But number 1, it motivates them to go get more customers. Number 2, anybody not getting their first customer is going to be like, I got my first customer, or they're going to go try to get their first customer because they're going to get motivated by seeing someone else get recognized. People love recognition. Maybe you're recognizing someone that's ATMing their face off. Maybe you're recognizing someone that just hit a big promotion. Now that might be an obvious one, right? But sometimes, like, it's not just recognizing them like one time, little shout out. Go love on them on their wall. Go give them a shout out in the leadership chat. Like, you can never over recognize somebody. You can never acknowledge someone that's taking action, that's doing the work, that's showing up, right? I'm constantly shouting out people that are enrolling new marketers, starting new teams for, again, a plethora of reasons. Number one, recognize what you want repeated. I want more people to go out there and build teams. I love when my upline recognizes me for starting new teams and in recruiting people, not for me, but because I want my team to see me out there doing what they should be doing. Make sense? So if you're recognizing people for doing the thing you want other people to do, it's a really smart way to get them to do it more often and to get the others that aren't doing it to start doing it. Like, you could recognize people for being registered for the upcoming event, shouting them out, making that a big deal, right? Maybe you shout out the people that are answering questions in the team chat, because isn't that super helpful? When you're not around and you're not paying attention, or maybe you don't know the answer to a question, when someone else pops in there and is answering the question and encouraging others, right? It's all these little things. It's all these little things, right? Someone does their first launch video, their first unboxing video, and you're shouting them out. You're shouting them out for doing their launch post, for doing their first video, for going live, for doing TikToks, doing Reels. And you start to create this duplication of recognition where everybody is recognizing all these things that sometimes we take for granted. Sometimes you take, and that's, I think, the reason I'm so glad. If I were to sit back and say, okay, I've been doing this 20 years. It took me 7 years to become a six-figure earner. It took me 16 years to become a millionaire. If I were to sit back and say, what are the benefits of building a business over a sustained period of time and not having, the fast success? And I think the biggest thing is it definitely gives you a different perspective, a unique perspective, and you have so much more gratitude and appreciation because, number one, you know what it took to get here. You know the price you paid to get here. But number two, because you know it didn't happen overnight, you have more gratitude and appreciation for what you've created because you rode the struggle bus. How many of us rode the struggle bus for a while? I know I did, right? So when it takes you a while to build something of significance, you have so much more appreciation and gratitude. And that's why I recognize the people that are trying. I recognize the people that are working. I recognize the people that are showing up for the trainings and they are, doing their best to get better. They're planting the seeds. They're doing the work. They're starting the teams. They're acquiring customers. You know what? Maybe someone's not really great at team building, but they're great at getting customers. You could have them do a training in your group. You could have them do a training inside your group, teaching people what they're doing. It makes people feel like $1 million when they get to show up and teach and share their story, right? Have them on your upcoming Zoom or Saturday call, right? Highlighting these individuals. It's freaking motivating. It pumps you up, okay? So recognize what you want repeated. Recognize the people that are following the system. How many of us wish you had people that were more coachable? Recognize the ones that are coachable. Don't take those ones for granted. Don't take the ones for granted that are following the system because they're going to motivate the ones that are uncoachable because they're eventually going to go, well, what's up, Aurelia? How is Aurelia enrolling all these people? How is Natalie crushing it? Like, I want to crush it, right? And then the uncoachable become coachable because they go, okay, well, what's Natalie doing? What's Aurelia doing? And then they find out that they're just following the freaking system. They're ATMing, they're creating conversations, they're filling their pipeline, right? They're working on themselves. They're reading the books. They're showing up on the Saturday calls. They're doing the do. They're following the deal. They're following the path. And they're like, okay, well, I want those results, so maybe I should follow the system. It's like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'd recommend it. Hope you guys are getting value from this. Number 3, leading by example. And this is one I talk about all the time. Like, I out-recruited my entire team last year. And this isn't me trying to brag. This is just me showing you that I'm not just telling you to do something. I'm literally doing it. Because if someone says, well, I want to be a top earner, I want to get to where John is, and John is still recruiting and starting new teams. John is building a brand. John is doing reels. John's working on himself. John shows up for this, that, and the other thing. He's doing all these things. Then they're going to say, well, I should probably do the things he's doing because he doesn't even need to do them. He doesn't need to do those things anymore and he's still doing them. Maybe I should do those things as well. It's motivating when you are out there leading by example. So if you want to motivate your team, go start new teams. Nothing will fire. I still remember when I saw my upline like on the leaderboard back. There was this company I was in years and years and years ago. And I saw my upline rank advancing, hitting these big ranks, out recruiting everybody. He was like way, way up on the leaderboard. And I'm like, man, like I need to start doing what he's doing. I need to understand what he's doing. I need to be more coachable. And I remember him like saying, look, this is what we're doing. And I went from being frustrated to fascinated. I went from being frustrated to fascinated. And I said, let me figure this out. And that was our first time. We finally made 6 figures for the first time back in 2008. Because we started to follow his lead. We started to follow, what they were doing in the system they had created. So leading by example is such a big deal. Outsell your team, out recruit, do all the things you wish your team was doing. Be the leader you wish you had on your team. So if you go, I don't have any really good leaders on my team. Well, then be the leader you wish you had. All right. My upline sucks. Be the leader you wish you had. Whatever it is. All right. So hope that helps. I'm also going to give you a bonus tip. That is absolutely creating accountability and collaboration chats. So I'll give you an example. We have this rank called Platinum Black. And those are like the top sellers in the world. And we have a ton of them on our team, which is 15,000 in monthly sales. And I got to say, that is probably one of the most interactive, like action-focused, supportive, brainstorming chats I've seen. Like all of these like amazing top sellers are all helping each other because some of them are really good at Reels, some of them are really good at TikTok, some of them are better at like project broadcast and like, getting referrals out of their customers or referral posts, or maybe some of them are better at recruiting and team building or duplication. And they're always like sharing ideas and loving on each other. And like they've all built this like incredible connection and relationship. Same thing with my elite chat, same thing with my team leader chat, like collaboration chats, support, accountability type chats, so powerful, especially as you start growing and developing a team. So I have like, some leaders that are direct to me and they actually like are in each other's chats, even though they don't benefit off each other, but they work together. They run challenges together. They do trainings together. They run their ATM groups together. This stuff is a huge, huge secret to success, putting your best people together and having them brainstorm and collaborate. Oh, that's been game changing because marketers feed off of other ideas and other, like, let's say one marketer over here has a video go viral and they're like, guys, look at this viral video. Oh my gosh. And then everybody else is like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Like, let me model that. Let me make that my own. And I just love that abundance mentality where everybody wants to help everybody versus trying to work with all these different teams separately. And some of them are really good at one thing and other teams are better at this. So putting them together in chats and letting everybody know, listen, this is a place for collaboration, support. Don't feel obligated to like, stay on top of like all the messages. Like sometimes you get people that are like, I can't keep up with the messages. Like, you don't need to. It's a support chat. It's not meant for you to like read every little thing that comes through. But the other thing too is we want to keep it positive. I always encourage positivity in these accountability chats, support chats, etc. I think that's a really big deal. And then another bonus tip is getting people to events. If I were to think back over the last 20 years and what was like the biggest thing that motivated me and motivated the people I've worked with, it's the ones that go to events. Like it's really, really, really hard for someone to create a significant business and build something in a big way without events. And what I mean by events, I don't just mean like a Saturday call. I don't just mean like a training like this. This is not an event. You could say this is an event, but it's just like a little virtual, training. It's not going to be as impactful as a live event. Now, it's a little bit harder these days because of the whole COVID situation, but like we have our big annual conference in March. And even if I have people that are like, hey, I can't, maybe they're in Canada and they're like, I just can't, I literally can't go. It's still virtual is better than nothing. But what you could do is get them in small groups together. I'm going to physically go to our event in Utah in March, but I have no judgment towards people that want to do it virtually. But at least if they can get together with people, at least if they can get together with people and be in person, like, let me tell you this. So the last couple years, every time we've had a virtual conference, some of the leaders have gotten together with their teams. Maybe they had like a certain destination, Airbnb, like whatever. They all went to one location, or they all got together in their local market. Point is, getting together physically with people and sitting down and just it's a submersion, right? Like you're just like getting like totally involved for 2 or 3 days in your company, like training, going to an event physically being there. You can't put a price tag on that, obviously. It was almost like a battery charger. Like anytime I kind of lost my belief, lost my enthusiasm, I went to an event and it was like it came back, right? I would not have been that motivated from a conference call. I would not have been that motivated from just talking to my upline. It had to be me going physically to an event and being there for 2 days and, hearing success stories and just they poured belief into me and I came back on fire. If you have an upcoming event, you have got to talk to every person on your team, especially the ones that haven't been to an event, and encourage them to get registered. Don't just say, hey, are you coming? Like, are you registered? Do you have your hotel, your airfare? And if they're doing virtual, fantastic. Encourage them to get together. Get together with some people, 3, 4, 5, 10 people, and watch it together, because events change lives. Nothing you or I can do is going to encourage, inspire, motivate action like an event.